CCR TV, channel of God's love. सगळ्यांक तुमकां नमस्कार आनी माय मोगाचो येवकार. गोंयच्या फुटबॉलाचे वस्ताद कार्यावळींत आयज आमी तुमचे मुखार हाडटां गोंयच्या फुटबॉल मैदानार नामनेचो आनी फांकीवंत फुटबॉल खेळगडी आनी फुटबॉल कोच एल्विस गॉयस. As a professional footballer in Goa, he has played for Varka Sports Club besides other top clubs such as Dempo Sports Club, Souza Goa Sports Club and Churchill Brothers, and playing at the highest level for his state in the nationals and at the junior nationals for the seniors Santosh Trophy, and also captaining the Goa University team. Elvis Gõychea has served as the technical director and head coach of Vasco Sports Club in the I-League National Football Championships during the year 2008-2009 season. Elvis Gõychea left India in the year 1991 for the USA to pursue his further studies in business management and pursue football at the professional level there. Elvis also holds several diplomas and certifications, including USSF Professional Football A, B and C licenses. Goans have made a mark for themselves wherever they are across the globe. Elvis Gõychea now owns and operates his own company, Excel Sports and Physio Care Limitada, an international football academy in Portugal, in collaboration with local football clubs in Lisbon. He offers consultancy services and conducts summer soccer camps in the USA and coaches workshop for school and college coaches in Portuguese football methodology. We welcome Elvis Gõychea to our CCR TV studios. Elvis Bab, yokar tumka.
Thank you very much.
Elvis, I was really surprised, when I knew that you're coming down to Goa during Christmas time, and I said I must get a date with you in our studios. And finally, here we are.
Yeah, I really wanted to do this, and I just wanted to have a word with you. But thank you for having me over here.
You're most welcome.
I would say Dev Baran Koru.
Most welcome. Elvis, let's to begin with, tell us something about your childhood years in Goa, and your exploits on the football field.
Okay, where do I begin? Growing up in Goa was a blast. Let's put it that way.
During your time?
During our time. I mean, you're talking about the early 70s. I was born in 1965, so the early 70s and the 80s and even the late 80s. The memory that I have of me first introduced to football was my father.
Okay.
He was a professional photographer. He used to go around taking pictures of the players and the matches and all. So he introduced me. Officially, I did the summer camp with Vostad Pereira of SAG.
Yes.
And that was my first official introduction to football. Of course, looking back, then followed with Zito Gudino, Brother Peish, and Don Bosco Oratory. And then that's where we got nurtured into football. But the memory I have of my youth is that my dad we would go on a cycle.
Okay.
So if there was Vasco was his favorite team, Vasco Sports Club, we would be playing at Tilak Maidan.
Correct.
Then the journey would begin at like about 10 o'clock. So 10, 11 o'clock, Annapurna, there was a thali, Yed the thali, got into a kamiyao, drove all the way to Donapaula, took the Bapur, crossed across to Murmugaon. Took another kamiyao all the way to Tilak ground. And there the atmosphere was electrifying. I mean, people, there was the patra, the stands. Tin sheets and the wooden stands.
Right. All rickety.
All rickety. I mean, you were scared. But because the excitement, and you could see that the people were on trees and on buildings. 40,000-50,000 people watching this game. And if it was a Vasco playing Dempo, by golly, it was a nightmare. So that was my experience. Growing up, as a kid, I said to myself, I would like to be that footballer on that field one day. And my dad encouraged me and he gave me all this.
So you nurtured that dream of being a footballer one day?
Yes.
and being there in the thick of action on
Yeah.
the football field. Am I right?
Yeah.
But your memories are as fresh as though they have just happened yesterday, Elvis.
You know, we talk about something in sports psychology called Aristotle effect.
Okay.
If there is a drama in your life, when you're teaching or when you're learning, you remember that incident for the rest of your life. So it was a dramatic effect in my life, those moments.
At that
So I
very
have-
young age.
At the young age. I mean, when I say young, I was probably 10 and 11 years old, traveling with him everywhere on his cycle.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yes, I remember. So,
Very nice. So now coming back to your club, how old were you when you first joined a professional club in Goa?
well, we got nurtured at Don Bosco Oratory,
Pancham.
Panjim, at Don Bosco's. And I remember going there, there used to be like almost 200 kids. There were two grounds, one small ground and one big ground. And there would be one ball and probably 35 or 40 players on each side. And you chase that ball. and that's, and then of course out of that a few guys were selected, so we represented.
Did all the 35 boys got a chance to touch the ball at least?
I would say it was the survival of the fittest.
Exactly. Or just chasing it from a distance.
No, I mean, you know, talking about youth development to what I know and many others know today is not what we went through, and that was trial and error. We ended up over here.
Correct.
And so, talking about early,
Yeah.
from there, Don Bosco Oratory, I was selected. We played a lot of inter-village tournaments those
Right.
days. Got selected to represent Goa Nationals, junior nationals, and that's where the journey began.
And which was the first club as a
You
professional
know,
club?
there is a story to be told here, because I would say I went for junior nationals. I had a fantastic thing. We reached the semi-finals, but my character is as such. I'm an outgoing person and I'm outspoken. Always has been. I had a fallout with the head coach at that time, and I won't say the name, but and that did not go well because he was very well connected with the top three, Dempo, Salgonkar, and Souza. And so the word passed about that Elvis is doesn't have the attitude.
Okay.
You know, doesn't have the great character that he needs to have.
On the field.
Not off the field, I
Off
think.
the
So not on the field, I was a tremendous player.
Okay.
So I would say off the field, and that passed around among that football community that I had to sign up for the newly promoted Varka Sports Club,
I see.
which was sponsored by Churchill Alema.
Exactly.
So I used to take early morning, 5 a.m. Mail delivery truck that went to Margaon because there was no bus,
I
and then cycle from Margaon to Varka, train, and I did that for a whole year.
These were really testing times and trying times, right? During your
Yeah, for sure.
growing up years in the field of football. Am I right?
Of course.
Yeah, and yet you did it with that passion. It's not a joke to travel every day on a postal truck, delivering mail to a distant South Goa from Panjim.
These are the same stories I hear. See, today I'm in Portugal and I get to train and work with some of the top athletes. I mean, I'm talking about people, athletes or footballers that are for top. They are future professionals. In fact, some of our boys are at Benfica, some of them are Académica, some of them gone to Porto. Many of them come over there, and we are in those clubs, in the feeder clubs, where I can see the same passion.
Okay.
That's the missing. I mean, if you have that, you can go to that next level. So to me, I would say that those youth players has to have that hunger and the drive. If you have that, you can accomplish the next part.
Fine. Elvis, now coming back to your state level football playing years, state level म्हणलं तो संतोष ट्रॉफी टुर्नामेंटाक तू कितले पाट खेळलाय?
एकूच पाटी.
एकूच पावटी. Juniors आणि seniors.
Juniors, because I played for juniors. Next year, the junior format was changed to under 23, and I broke my leg. So I was injured, so I couldn't. I was supposed to captain that year. Okay. And the young generation was coming in. Bruno, Mario, Fagnell Mirand, all of us. And so they were entering. I'm about 4 years older than them.
To them.
So, and then that Fatorda Stadium, that junior nationals was held there. That following year, there was an international team traveling, POSCO. So I got selected for that, had a great performance. And then I got selected for Santosh Trophy from that. under Armand Kulas and Peter Wallis.
ओके सो कितें तर तुका थोडो उगडास आसा ह्या संतोष ट्रॉफीचो तेन्ना 7 वर्सां फाटीं एनी मेमरीज
Oh, yeah.
of that
Oh,
any sweet memory just briefly one
Brief
just to revive the memories of our viewers also.
The memory would be, it was in Guwahati, Assam, is that I got to play with the idols I worshipped. So
Yeah,
you're
during
talking
your
about,
younger days.
during my, so I'm talking about Mahesh Lotlekar, David, Norbert, Nicholas. I mean, Nicholas was not there, but I mean, I got to play with these guys in the early stages because I became a footballer by watching them. I used to say, okay, I want to be like Nicholas.
Okay.
Nicholas was this giant. I mean,
Hero.
a hero. And for me, that was my idol. But then when I got selected to play for Santosh, it was playing with him. Brahmananda in the goal. You're playing as a right full back. You have Mauricio, Lecter, Camilo in front, Johnny Araujo. I mean, we were
The cream of players.
cream of players. I
Cream
mean,
of
that was the one.
They are real legends, you know, Elvis today.
They are.
They are. No denying the fact.
No,
Do you
no,
agree with
absolutely.
me?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yes. Now, coming back to football and the clubs, how were the clubs at that time dealing with the physical fitness, stamina building, and of course the physio part of it in the 80s? See, Goa was still, you know, in the development format of the, you know, scientific.
I would say trial and error.
I see.
Yeah, I would say to you, we had a bamboo with cement blocks.
On either side.
Yeah, either side. One was heavier than the other, for sure.
It was like a big dumbbell over.
Yeah, no, it was like a barbell, to do the squats and
Okay,
do the
okay.
shoulder push-ups. You're talking about rudimentary growth in terms of development of
Okay,
an athlete.
okay.
We became athlete because we played 24/7. We played football and more football and more football. And that's how we became footballers. But if you look at the physiotherapy, I have a story to tell you. We were playing in Rovers Cup. I was playing for Dempo at that time. The late Ratnam was our manager. Bob Butland was the coach. He was just replaced, I think, with Albert Jonas.
Albert Jonas.
Yeah. So we go over there in one of the games. I get a contusion. I get a knee on my left thigh. And this is a story, and I'm sure all my friends will remember this,
Yeah.
and he was known for that. So I said, Coach, I have this bruise, black bruise. And he was really a colorful character. A whole barrage of bad words would come out of his mouth. So he says, okay, come over here. He takes Colgate, puts Iodex in it, makes the paste, and applies it. And rubs the hell out of it.
Combination therapy.
Combination. So you're talking about I am in physiotherapy today. I build physiotherapy centers. I promote physiotherapy. Imagine, and I know of sports science today. I did not know enough.
Then, yeah.
And here this bruise became massive, and next moment I cannot even move my muscle because a contusion you cannot massage. Contusion is what you apply, what we call is the RICE. It's rest, elevation, ice, and compression. And you do not move because it's a muscle split against the bone, and it has to given time. So
For healing. Yeah.
So the growth of a footballer, and I had made a comment a long time ago about if we had the same components which the Europeans or the North Americans did during those days, I would say we would have world-class top players here
That time.
that we could have exported.
Exported out. Fine. So that was the situation like that then.
Yeah.
But Elvis, having been in the top bracket of football in Goa, playing with legends, all the names that you just mentioned, what made you leave football, professional football, and just move away from Goa? Can you enlighten our viewers today, and especially your fans who were following your progress on the field?
Okay. It's actually bittersweet in many ways sometimes, but it's a story of love and passion.
Okay.
So let's sort of track this a little bit. So I finished my second year with Souza. I left Dempos, which was a mistake I felt because I left for money. I was not getting enough. I made an offer to them saying that those days you got to remember that we didn't have agents. We would enter in, and that time it was Baba, we used to call him, at Dempos. We went into Baba's office and I said, listen, I am worth more money than this.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay me, I'm moving because I have an offer from Souza.
It was a direct interaction.
Direct
with
interaction.
the boss.
Yeah, with the
There
boss.
was no middleman, I mean,
No,
agent or manager.
no,
like
nothing like that. So he said, see, listen, I can pay you this much, but Souza was offering me twice as much. So I said, they're offering, if you come here in the middle, I'm signing and I'm waiting. No, not possible. I walked off, signed. Everyone was upset with me. You're talking about Mahesh and Mauricio and Camilo and all those guys said, what are you doing? That was a stupid move. Yes, fair enough. I go over there, I played, I finished my second season with Souza, got an opportunity at that time to sign for MRF. MRF had bought Churchill Brothers and they were going to invest a lot of money and they were going to grow. Chaturni was the coach.
Yeah, yes.
Siabra and Chaturni was in my home. We are talking, discussing. And I had met a girl just prior to that, and who was in USA, who had gone to USA.
Okay.
And I was pursuing to go to USA because I had finished my bachelor's degree here in Goa.
Okay.
At that time, represented Goa University also, captained them, lost in Chandigarh in the semi-finals. So it was like, stay here, play football, or take that leap of faith and go
Pursue your goals.
pursue my goals.
Academic goals.
Academic goals as well as football also.
Yeah.
Football did not work out, but academics.
It is not so easy when you're in the top bracket of professional football to, I mean, suddenly make a move about. That's what happened with you, right?
Yes.
But do you think, as you look back, you did the right thing or you took the right decision?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. No doubt in my mind. Because
Today, as you look back, you feel you are happy where you are and contented?
Absolutely. 100%. I really missed Goa. I missed football. For sure I did. But I had bigger things to follow.
So you were pursuing your studies in USA, right?
Yes.
And how did you side by side pursue your football passion there?
All my life.
Was it that easy? Because when you're studying in a foreign university, there are a lot of things to be taken care of.
For sure.
Committed towards the academics and maybe then little time. Was it a balancing act between studies, academics and football?
I would say this would be a message to the youth for me. I would sincerely say any youth that is today following, you can do both. I say that to everyone. And it was, my mother was a teacher, my father was a lover of football. My mother always said to me, I do not want a biknakar like selling ground nuts or muttas on the beach. If you get injured, you will be nobody. You need to do education. So she forced me into education. I finished my bachelor's degree, and at the same time, Dempo and Souza were very kind to me. They allowed me to pursue my education. I remember they used to leave a taxi for me to take me from the examination directly to the ground. Bob Butland, I got a firing from him. Because
what a nice gesture, no? Then?
Yeah, it was. I mean, football was something unique over here. So for me, I say to the youth, you can follow both. You can certainly do both the things, but you got to have the passion and the desire. Like in USA, I would take the lectures in the mornings, attend my football training in the evening. I was playing second division APSL, it's American Professional Soccer League with Flamingos, all foreigners. We were all foreigners, Brazilians, Greek, Polish, Cubans, everyone, Mexicans and so forth. But for me, that was the passion is that if you have the passion and if you have the desire, you can certainly do both things.
Okay, only you need to be focused.
For sure.
And I mean, a lot of sacrifice also is involved, right? This is what our present day youth should actually, know. I think you're a perfect example, Elvis. And now, after completing your graduate studies in management, right?
Yes.
In US, you came down to Goa. And then you took up coaching of a local club, Vasco Sports Club, I remember.
Yeah.
So tell us something about that. And you were involved during the time when I-League was, I think, Yeah. So do you have any memories of your assignment with Vasco Sports Club? It was a people's club.
It was. I mean, it's a story this way. So I come from USA because I took a job assignment to come to India with the physiotherapy company called Dynatronics.
Okay.
So we came here to promote the equipment. My office was based in Bangalore.
I see.
Yeah. And then I got involved in football. I developed the Chougule Sports Center with artificial ground, the gym,
artificial
the fitness,
turf and all
everything. I worked with Mr. Omaji Chougule and we built all that stuff. And then while I was there, Umaji was one of the patrons. Then Vinod Parkot was another one. While talking to them, I said to them, you know, Vasco is newly thing. I would love to take over
Okay.
and develop those youth and give them something different. And we did. All the players, so Vasco, who were under me, is even including Katamani, who became, you know, top goalkeeper of Goa at
Thereafter,
one
yeah,
point.
at one
So
point.
to me, I would say to you that I gave my average age at that group of that was just 22 years old. I mean, I can remember all of this. So for me, the transition of coming over here was smooth in many ways, but I was passionate about football and I always wanted to coach. The story is this. Vasco Sports Club was my dad's favorite club. You got to remember this. Even when Vasco played Dampo at Kampal, I could spot my dad in the corner of my eye supporting Vasco. this was my
Okay.
father.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he was like, I mean, he wouldn't care, I mean, if I lost, you know. But
Correct.
that was his club. So for me, I never got to play for Vasco because when I entered football, Vasco was at the bottom. And even though I didn't have a chance, so this opportunity when I came, I jumped on it and I said, yes, I love to do it.
And
So-
you did that. But at one point of time, Elvis, you were also involved with the youth football organization and development program.
Yeah.
Can you speak something about that?
Yes.
And what was your experience with this assignment?
I met the CEO who was running at that time Adidas India in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
I had a connection with him. When I moved here, I connected with him. He was based over here in Delhi, Gurgaon. So I said to him, there is this youth development program that we did in USA, what I saw in USA. They had implemented with a Dutch methodology and things like that. It was a very fine, I mean, organized system. Till this day, we don't have it. Let's put it that way. And I said to myself, why don't I take this idea and present it so we could do at least the recreational format of it. So I presented, I gave a pitch. There was a couple of individuals from here. One was Kennedy, another one was Milton. They accompanied me. We went to Delhi and we gave the presentation to Adidas. Adidas loved the idea. They said, we will pay for the kit and everything
Okay.
and all the organization, but they're not going to give us salaries or any sponsorship money, but they will, and you guys can raise from the other locals. So that program was designed as the core grassroots program from U6 to U18. Co-ed games also, that means women can also be part
Played,
of it.
Yeah, together.
And that would be a center of about 600 students in each. So we did in Delhi, we did in Goa, we did in Bangalore. It was a fantastic program. And I served as a president and as a technical advisor. I coached, I mean, when I say coach, I mean I did the workshops for the coaches
Okay,
and so
okay,
forth. So
okay.
it was an amazing. I really wish that GFA would have taken it further,
Continued it further.
continued it.
It would have benefited Goan football.
For sure,
I see.
no doubt about
So
it.
the format was so good.
Yes, the format is what everyone else follows throughout the world.
Throughout the world.
Portugal follows the same format.
Okay.
USA follows.
Okay.
Dutch follows.
Okay.
We don't have it here.
Maybe it was the financial implication that,
You know,
Didn't
one thing,
support the
Daniel,
idea.
I would really seriously say, if there is a will, there is a way.
right. You're
Money,
right. You're right,
I really
Elvis.
absolutely feel that money is not an issue in India, especially today.
Now, Elvis, tell our viewers what exactly are you doing now in Lisbon, Portugal? Little bit in,
So okay, I went to Lisbon. Of course, Lisbon is not is a passionate. It's a Goa of the old. If you ever go to Lisbon, you can feel the heart and soul of Goa there, you know. And so for me, there are not many jobs over there. It's the same company that brought me here to India, took me in there.
Okay.
I promote physiotherapy equipment over there with lifestyle clubs and so forth and football teams. And so looking at the scenario, I said to myself, okay, what could I do to make a living over here while this is going on? And
Yeah,
after
yeah.
that, and football is that same thing came. So I started a youth football academy.
I see.
It's called International Football Academy de Portugal in collaboration with Academia de Coimbra right now and the
Okay.
local clubs.
Okay.
So it's a fantastic program and we have almost 7 different nationalities right now in the academy.
Okay. Now, talking about football academy, and especially that you have one in Lisbon, Elvis, At what age do you admit youngsters in your football academy? And what about their schooling during the training period?
So the most of the boys we get are high school graduates
I
who are
see.
going to go to college.
So their age will be around 15, 16?
15, yeah. So they are 15, 16 years. And the Americans who comes to us at the age of 17.
I see.
So they want to go for a college scholarship. There is big time money in it.
Okay.
So what they do is they come, they prepare in Portugal with us to go for college tryouts. Division 1, Division 2, Division 3.
Back home in US?
Back home in USA. Some of them who have the caliber pursues it in USL or MLS. And there are a few. I would say there is a kid right now from Ukraine in the academy who's spotted by one of the top clubs in Portugal. And there is another kid from Trinidad Tobago, including my son plays football. I mean, and so he's in that pipeline of going pro.
So basically, youngsters from other countries join your academy to
Yes.
get the grassroots training.
When I say grassroots, we focus on the 4 components: technical, tactical, physical, and mental. These are
Okay,
the 4
okay.
core components.
Fine.
In a structured curriculum. So if you're talking about football, I mean, we are doing maybe, like, I cannot say that we don't have that knowledge. There are people over here today, there are coaches. I can throw a few names: Derek, Savio, Bruno. These guys have the knowledge, they have the understanding of the game.
Right.
But the overall ecosystem that is required is not there.
Is lacking.
Is lacking. That means the components of leadership and communication training, who is there? Psychology, sports psychology training, the sports medicine and nutrition. Because it's the balance of
These
art
are the
and science.
important factors that
Yes.
finally make you a good footballer. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about all these factors, how different is this youth development of football in India from the West? Briefly, can you touch on that?
Ooh.
Maybe these 4 components come, the lacking
Yeah,
of
yeah,
this.
no. When you talk about a youth development of a youth footballer, for example, of an individual, you have the components, which is the technical, all this. Then you have the game model around it. So these components, if you talk about a youth, you're talking about the neuromuscular development or the physical development or the cognitive development or the and so forth. So if you take those components, we are not doing a systematic progression. And diet is the one issue that even for me, when I come over here, the shit kodi is fantastic. It's Goan staple meal. It's not cut out because the early development is missed out over here. You reach to an age of 16, 17, you do not have a proper muscle structure developed. I cannot put him through a resistance training. It is a challenge.
So to meet these challenges at the next stage, it's a drawback for that.
Yeah, exactly.
So now talking about muscular injuries and muscular development, what are the most common injuries a footballer can suffer, thereby impacting his progression in football?
Okay, there are earlier on onset, which we call is peak height velocity till you reach your
PHV.
So you reach to adulthood. You have reached. You have a graph that goes like this. You have an early spike, then you have a moderate, then you hit puberty and you go all the way. You reach, then you hit a plateau. When you hit the plateau during this period of time, a proper structured program with a CSCS, Certified Sports Conditioning Specialist, guys like us, who tells you, evaluates you, tells you this is how you have to do things. You develop that, you will not have that many injuries earlier on. Later on, so those are muscle imbalance injuries. Later on, the injuries that comes from overuse and fatigue. That means what? Guys like us party, we are professionals, but even then we party, and next moment you have a knee injury because your muscles were fatigued, and you jump in the air, the muscle did not contract, you land up, your ligament or your tendon
impacting. Yeah. Now, Elvis, coming back to this youth, if given an opportunity to take charge of youth develop in Goa, now or in future, would you give it a second thought?
I would, absolutely.
And where would you begin?
I think this is a conversation that everyone is having today. I would say, first of all, Goa needs to come together. When I say Goa and Goans, if you're talking about the youth development, SAG, GFDC, GFA, these entities needs to come on a round table,
Single platform.
single platform with one main objective,
mission, yes.
to take the game, for the love of the game, let's put it that way, for the love of the game, take it to the next level. Everything else, all these guys, they know everything.
Correct.
The reason why it's not happening is it's a question of egos and prides, one above the other, and one stepping on somebody else's toes. Because even if you look at Portugal, you have IPDG, Institute Juventus and Desportivo, and then you have AFL, Associação Futebol de Lisboa, and then you have Football Federation. They each have a distinct role. If they do that, the knowledge is there. Today, it's not like we are trying
Only
to recreate a
thing you
world.
have to reorganize your goals and have a single goal.
Yes.
And all together aim towards that.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
This is what you exactly want to say.
Yeah.
Elvis, a lot of people, not only footballers, ex-footballers and footballers, parents are watching this program of us, Gõychea Futtbolache Vostad. Now, just little before that, we spoke about the age factor of a young footballer and then the diet and how they should develop their inner stamina, muscle to meet the challenges of the next step of development. Now, talking about diet, can you put a little focus, especially for the benefit of our youngsters and their parents? How important is a well-balanced diet for the children who are taking, because football is very popular and we have many academies sprouting all over Goa now. So you talk about the diet factor.
I would
young.
say diet is an integral part. No matter if you train too much and you do not put the fuel, like give you an analogy between a car and a fuel. You have a car like say those days ambassadors and Fiat. Those were and you have a high octane car. You put a high octane fuel, you're going to have a
higher performance.
Yeah. So diet would be like our diet failing because we eat a large pile of rice. I see that. I had a thali at in a restaurant here. They gave me a whole lot of rice.
Yes.
Little curry and a little bit of fish and pickles and all those things. Assorted items. No. Chuck that rice aside. Eat the roti with it or a little pasta. It is more compact in carbohydrates.
Okay.
Have 2 pieces of fish or a chicken or a beef, whatever you want to eat based on your religion or whatever you believe. But a good amount of protein, good amount of carbohydrates, and a good amount of fiber. And that has to be like the calorie intakes, for example, breakfast, lunch, dinner should exceed at least 3,500 to 4,000
Per day.
per day.
For growing up youth.
For growing up
And
youth.
into
Because if
football.
you're going to put 3 hours of football,
Practice and all.
yeah. And in these conditions,
You need that
you
fuel
look
to
at
burn.
every single footballer over here. He's looks like a malnutrition athlete. They do not have the muscular development. They don't, and they just cannot play impactful football.
Talking about muscular development, I have another question coming up for you, Elvis. At what age should a prospective footballer begin their lightweight trainings? Because still in Goa, that concept of lightweight training has not come in, I think, so seriously, especially among the youth in the villages. Of course, those who are under some academies and professional coaches, they will concentrate on that. But what is a general message for the youth?
I would say it's a cascading effect here. The problem is no proper youth development, so you cannot start earlier a weight training program. You will break them down. So we have to start a little later in India. But I would say, like in USA, we start them at age 14.
I see.
They do lightweight training, Olympic lifts with a aluminum bar and light plates, teaching proper techniques and proper posture, so you have a balance in your hamstrings and your quadriceps. If you have that, then easily at the age of 17 and 18, you should introduce. For me, I would say all the kids and all the parents here in Goa or anywhere in any part of India, get them in the gym earlier on. It's a fallacy. People will say, weight training korizala masha motu auttalo.
I see.
Absolutely not.
You have heard something like this?
Absolutely. I would say, it'll stun your growth. No, if you load him, it will. If you do light training, absolutely not. In fact, it is just the opposite. The pressure you put on the bone marrow, the longer it goes. In fact, older people after 45, anyone, as your testosterone levels go down and you start losing muscle mass,
Yes.
you need to hit the gym more often.
Okay.
I'm 57 and I can tell you that physically, if I don't hit the gym for 2 days, I have all sorts of problems.
Lethargy sets in.
Absolutely. No, the muscle fatigue, the joint starts aching. So for me, not the old or the young, I mean, everyone, the gym is a fantastic thing.
So, how important is fitness for a good career in football, and how much of importance should be given to that? On the priority list, where do you place it? Fitness, diet, physical training, and all the skills. Where
So
does
if you take the four
fitness-
components, I mean, if you take the 4 components like I talked about, physical, technical, tactical, mental, physical, they go hand in hand. And it has to be a balanced program. It has to be a balanced program. Fitness is an integral part, but it has a two-sided sword. Portuguese or Europeans, many of the Latin Europeans don't focus so much on athleticism. They focus ground-based functional fitness. Americans put more emphasis on gym fitness. So American, if you compare athlete to athlete, American athlete is way off the mark. All his numbers, the speed, agility, coordination, explosive power, boom, nowhere to be.
I see.
Portuguese athlete, technically, tactically smarter,
Yes.
decision making. So he compensates that athleticism with that. But if you have a balance, Nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
nothing like it.
Absolutely. I think the Portuguese definitely score higher on this, the skill and the technicalities of it, than the physical game of a
sure.
US athlete. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
So Elvis, it was lovely talking to you, but we are running out of time actually. But I still feel like asking one more question. Do you have any special project in mind? Oh, you at least think when you talk about Goa, your homeland, do you have anything in mind for a Goan youth to develop their skills in football?
Yes,
I know you cannot come down here tomorrow only and start it, but somewhere there must be a soft corner for the Goan youth.
I do. I mean, I sincerely do.
At heart, you are a Goan for all purposes.
I mean, like I did the Chogale Sports Center was done with that objective
Okay.
of bringing the
Yeah.
sports conditioning center, sports physiotherapy
Has
center.
it met its aim and
Tough, difficult to answer that question, but I would say my passion and my love is there. I'm looking at different options. I would like to. I have been in dialogue with GFDC in GFA because there is a new president over there. There are new people over there. Lecter is the general secretary
of the
who
GFA
played
now.
with me.
Yes.
So I would like to, in some capacity, I do not want to step on anybody's toes. I would like to be in some capacity, share the knowledge, share the experience that I have had, not only in America 16, 17 years, couple of years in China, 10 years in Portugal, grew up over here for 23, 24 years. All this I would like to share because to me at the end of the day, we need to put the youth first, game second, and then everything else. If we do that, if we put that saying that we need to develop this youth to the next level, by golly, we will hit that mark.
Elvis, it was lovely talking to you, and thank you for such an enlightening chat with our studios today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate your presence. So, dear viewers, this was Elvis Gõychea, and he has spoken right straight from his heart, on various aspects of football, just not the technical aspect, but various other things that are important, which will help to make you a good footballer. So he has a message, in fact, and he has given it to the parents as well as to the aspiring footballers, as far as your physical training is concerned, as far as your diet is concerned, and just about everything. So keep watching your favorite program, Gõychea, Futtbolache, Vostad. Thank you.